Hey everyone, welcome back to Ontario Gardening. So it's still really cold and chilly where I am, and it calls for some chili and some bread bowls. So I'm going to show you how to make bread bowls. This is an awesome recipe. It's pretty easy as long as you have a stand mixer, and let's just get right to it. The first thing that you're going to need is 2.5 cups of warm water, warm to 115 degrees. So I just use a mason jar because I don't have a measuring cup big enough to make sure that we get it to the right temperature, and then it's easy to mix our stuff in. You'll need 4 cups of bread flour. The bread flour is kind of necessary for this recipe because it really raises those bread bowls and gives them the shape that you need to carve them out to put your stuff in. 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of quality olive oil, a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of salt, a teaspoon of onion powder, 1 egg, beautiful blue color, and then 4.5 teaspoons of instant yeast. And you're going to want your teaspoons of yeast to be instant because it's going to be much quicker, and the bread combined with the bread flour, it's just going to rise better and faster and fluffier. So that first thing we're going to do is we are going to make sure that this water is warmed to 115 degrees Celsius, which it is not right now. So we are going to go ahead and put that into the microwave. Sorry, folks, I meant to say degrees Fahrenheit. I'm Canadian and we work in Celsius, so I just constantly use Celsius. So we are up to temp, so that's perfect. We are going to do now is we're going to add that sugar, and you're going to stir the sugar around and make sure it's nice and dissolved. It doesn't take long. And then once you're done that, you're going to add your yeast. All of the yeast at once. Also mix that around. And now what we're going to do, now that it's nice and incorporated, is we are going to let this sit on the counter for 5 minutes and let it froth up. And it's going to create a nice foam like a beer on the top. And it's going to be ready in about 5 minutes. So I'll show you what that looks like and then we will continue on. So I've got my dough hook on to my KitchenAid here, and I am adding that oil. I am also going to add the salt, and then I'm going to add my onion powder. So this is what I mean when it froths up. It's like the top of a cappuccino. This is ready to go. So you have the stuff inside of your mixer already. So you can go ahead and add that in with that stuff. And now we just want these 2 flours combined. I had them separated for the video, so I now have to put them in a bowl. But you want that bread flour and you want the regular flour just whisked together. And then essentially all that's going to happen now is we're going to turn on the mixer and we're going to slowly add this to the mixer and watch it as it creates a dough. So we're going to go ahead and throw it on number 2 and then just slowly add that flour in. This just gives all the ingredients a chance to incorporate together, because you've got the oil and the onion powder and everything in at the bottom there. So as you can see, it's starting to get shaggy. It's going to take a couple minutes to form a nice dough ball, and then when it does, we are going to put it back in to this grease bowl. And you can grease it with butter, oil, Pam, whatever you have on hand. Just grease this up and I'll show you putting the ball in. So this has been running for about 5 minutes, and you know that it's done because it's no longer shaggy, it's smooth, and it's got a nice, I guess, bounce to it. So this is done. We're going to put it just on a floured surface and roll it out just into a ball before putting it into our greased bowl. So just kneading it out a bit because that makes it easier to form into a ball. If you've ever done bread before, you kind of know it's kind of a similar process. So we've got it all just kind of kneaded into this ball. And then, yep, we're just going to plop it right into that grease bowl. We're going to cover it with saran wrap And now we're gonna let it rise for about 40 minutes or until it doubles inside. So I am lucky I have a proof setting on my oven, so I'm actually gonna throw it inside and proof for that 40 minutes or until I see that size has gotten a lot bigger. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'll see you in about 40 minutes to continue this process. So as you can see, it has doubled in size. We have a greased pan that the balls are gonna go on. But what we're about to do is we're going to deflate this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this deflated dough and we want to put it into 6 equal portions. So you can weigh them out if you want to, if you were selling them or if you want to be exact. You can just do it by eye as well. So we're using just a bread cutter for ours, and we are going to weigh ours out because we're just having a dinner party, and so we just want everybody's bowl to be equal. So we've got a 60-ounce piece here, and we're going to do them in 10 equal pieces. So for each ball, so for each one, you're kind of just making a pita shape, and then you're bringing all the corners into the middle because that's going to be the bottom of your bowl, and that's going to be most important. You don't want any of your super chili coming out. Pinching that bottom together, flipping it over, and rolling it into a ball. So slow motion, we're going to do that again because then once it's done, we put them all on the greased pan. So pounding that out, and then bringing the corners into the middle. Pinching off that middle just to make sure that it's really closed. Flipping it over and just kind of massaging it into a ball with your hands, and then placing it onto the greased cookie sheet. And nothing has to be perfect, but we're gonna just do the best that we can to make the balls. So do that until you have 6 and all of them are on that greased pan. So we've got them on our pan. Now we're gonna score an X on the top of each bread bowl. And then we're gonna do an egg wash on top. And so the egg wash is just 1 egg white, 1 tablespoon of water, and you just want to use a fork and mix that around. And then we're just going to brush the tops. And just simply brush the tops. Doesn't have to be like soaked or a ton of it. We're just brushing to get a nice golden brown. And then once we're done brushing these, we're just going to cover it back up with some more saran wrap, and we're gonna let it sit for another 15 to 20 minutes until these balls double in size. While we are waiting to do that, we're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees. So these have definitely doubled in size. It's been about 15 minutes, so those are ready to go in the oven. You wanna take just a shallow pan and add a cup of hot water to it. That's gonna go in as well. The oven's at 400, so we're gonna go ahead and put these on the middle rack and that pan of hot water on the rack underneath, and bake that all for 30 minutes. And here they are straight out of the oven. Stick around. I'm going to show you how to cut into them once they've cooled down and put in some soup or chili. And I just wanted to note, if you don't like them this brown, you don't have to put the egg wash on. We have done that in the past, and they're not so crispy on the top. So that's just a little pointer. You still have to do the pan of water, but you don't have to do the egg wash. So completely up to you. Try it out, test it out a couple times, and see whether the egg wash is for you or not. Okay, so basically what we did was we just cut the top off and then ripped it apart inside with our fingers to make a bowl. And now we put our stuff in. And there we are, our chili bowl. And you can use the pieces that you used from the side and dip them. That's bread bowls.